and etc. But other than that, people are not giving that much importance to a security as a full stack web developer I'm talking about. Other than that, it has been handled by other teams, especially the people who used to work on the cyber security and other stuffs. But and also we have a responsibility to create a web tool, web applications or websites which should which should be secured properly. It can be login credentials, or it can be what is it? It can be a site's information. It can be a user's admin's profile. It can be it can be unpenetrable some certain loop, closed loop or something. So where that is what our responsibility to do. So that's why we have made a separate session for this session is going to be a little bit shorter, but this is going to be really really valuable. So while talking about the first thing which you really wanted to discuss is this OWASP. Guys, you just all imagine one thing. Whenever you are really talking about anything, okay, you have created some tool like the video testimonial tool, or it can be a pantechsolutions.net YouTube channel, or sorry, not a YouTube channel, it's like a site or anything. Whenever you are really presenting in a certain website, so you need to know the whole complete flow, and you need to make sure whether your code is really optimized for for avoiding the penetration through the site. You just imagine if this is the Panic Solutions e-commerce website or something, you'll be ordering something, right? So if you are really going and here, and if you are clicking add to cart, so you will be giving your information, right? Your name, your email ID, and your address, and your card information. So we are, as a full stack web developer, it is also our responsibility to make sure that this website is not leaving holes to leak out all the customers information, or it should not leave some hole where people can enter into the website and they can steal all their customers information. That is what is all about our responsibility. So apart from how it really looks, okay, the visual presentation of the website, and second thing, apart from the backend code to optimize the website, especially the performance like loading speed and the function of each and every buttons and those things which is all present in the website. Apart from all these three, and also even it can be managing the database, where whenever people are creating an account, putting those credential into the databases like MongoDB or MySQL and those things. Apart from all these things, it is our responsible to have security practices, okay, to maintain the security in a very well in our sites. So on talking about the sites, you just imagine one thing. Do you really can able to get any idea or any list of security which you really wanted to be aware about it? As in a digital medium, even though you might be from computer science department or IT department, anything, you might be from any department, especially if you are from IT or computer science department, can you able to tell me the whole complete list of the way where hackers can able to penetrate into your website or penetrate into your web application? Do you have that idea? Do you have that list of the way where people can able to penetrate you to the web, penetrate to your websites and web apps? Definitely it is bit hard, right? Because as a normal people, as a normal consumer, as a normal people, even if we are a developer, we can create a website in a good way, right? So how it really looks and every functionality, we can make sure how it is really working. Those things, it's easy. Those things can be done very easily. But apart from that, as a normal developer, we are not aware about in what are all the ways hackers are penetrating to the website. You just imagine if the Google is there, if someone penetrated through to the Google website or Google server. So that is where it is a one of the new methodology where that hacker used to penetrate, because already Google have secured their servers by putting a lot of firewalls and a lot of methodologies, ways where people should not penetrate into it. So likewise, they might be already follow a lot of security practices on maintaining the server impenetrable. But other than that, even after that, if anyone is penetrating to it, so it is like that certain person is finding out some loopholes or some bugs in the Google server, so that it really allowed those kind of people to penetrate into it. So that is what one of the knowledge, right? As same as like whenever one kind of lot of companies getting hacked or getting penetrated, so it is all kind of learning. So which the WASP, which is really giving you those information for you guys. So you don't want to worry about it. I mean, worry about in the sense like to how to check it out. What are all the ways people can able to penetrate? That can be maintained by this WASP. Okay, so what you guys do is you just go through this WASP. Okay, global AppSec Lisbon event, where the cybersecurity experts, where there are some event which has been conducted in Portugal. So where you can able to really learn to identify in what are all the ways people are getting penetrating into the certain websites and certain servers. So that is what this OWASP, which is really maintaining. So this kind of platform will give you the lot of information about the ways where it can be a kind of authentication kind of penetration, or it can be a database penetration, or it can be different various kind of penetration, which is all gonna be maintained by this OWASP, which is having that kind of information, that data which is used to keep on updating for certain years. So 28 or 2018 or 2012, so kind of they will be updating for the certain years. So where you can able to see that. Okay, that is what we are going to explore in this today's session. So first of all, while talking about this OWASP, you can go to Google. Okay, just type OWASP top 10. Okay, simply type OWASP top 10. You can see this OWASP top 10. This is the standard awareness document for developers and web application security. It represents something, what are all the issues which is present here. So you can just open it. So once you have opened it, you can see which is OWASP top 10 is a standard awareness document for developers and web application security. It represents a broad consensus about the most critical security risk to web applications. Okay, is it amazing? So look at that. Top 10 web application security risk. So when comparing with 2017, what are all the things are all updated in 2021? So these are the three categories. Three new categories and 4 categories with the naming and scoping changes, and some consolidation in top 10 for 2021. So these are all issues, guys. Okay, this is just top 10. I'm not telling like only these 10 issues will happen. No, it is not like that. Even that level, that stages, which is going to keep on varying its level. Even you can see here, the broken access control, which is at 5th position at 2017. So this is one of the security risk. That risk name is, this is what the names, guys: injection, broken authentication, sensitivity data exposure, XML external links. So likewise, it is going to have all these, security risk. Out of these security risk, you can see broken access control, which is in the 5th position. But now this broken access control, which is came to the 1st position in 2021. So likewise, even don't think like broken access control is just one issue. Inside that, it might have a lot of issue. These are all not an issue. It is all category. Okay, injection category, broken authentication category, sensitivity data exposure category, XML external entities category. So likewise, these are all categories. Out of this category, the level will be shifted on some of the year, because some people might be using broken access control kind of category issues a lot to breach the certain network or certain server. So that is where here from the 2017, it really moved from level 5 to level 1 of the security risk in 2021. So this is what all the huge list. But here, if you are reading it, it won't give you that kind of detailed information, because if you really want to read a doc, you can read it. Okay, you can just click and you can reopen it in a new tab, and you can read the whole complete documentation. But it is very, very tough. That's why we are here. Okay, so to deliver you the concept in an easy way. So on that aspect, while talking about the top 10, let me call it as like security issues. Okay, while talking about the security issues, the first issue which we are going to talk about is the broken control. Okay, in 2021, broken access control. So while talking about broken access control, just see how I've framed this mind map. Is this mind map, you're going to really love it. So the first line, I've given the little explanation, and the second line, I've given the normal example, and in the third line, I've given the real bigger example. Okay, just see here, inadequate restrictions on what authenticated users can do. Okay, I think we guys have already discussed about it. if the people are logging into authentication, authenticating into a Netflix, they are giving their email ID and a phone number and they are logging into it. Now he is an authenticated user. So what are all the ways he can navigate into the other pages? Or if the authenticated user, if he is in a certain page, he just opened the browser and he just authenticated it. Even it might be banking sector. You can just opening a certain platform like SBI net banking kind of platform. If you are really opening it, you'll be giving a login credentials, and if you have closed the tab and if you are really reopening it again, it will again ask the password. It won't allow you directly because you have already entered it. No. So that is kind of way where how the authenticated users are really working on the certain networks. Even you can just see the example. An attacker changes the URL from /user/profile123 to user profile 124 and can access the another's profile, user profile. Did you got it? Okay, you just imagine for every user, if it is going to have a give a ID. Okay, so like netflix.com/user/0001. Okay, this is what the first user who has signed up an account. What if another user has signed up an account which is same netflix.com/user/0002.com 2 something. So if that is the ID, if the people really wanted to access the another user's URL, another user's account, they can simply change the number, they can able to access it. So whenever it is giving some ID in the URL, it should not be the sequential number. It should be some random value. Even if you are changing as like a different value, it shouldn't work. Okay, that's what the thing. And even the real life example, GitHub vulnerability allowing unauthorized access to repositories by changing the URLs. As I've already told you, while talking about this GitHub, okay, even if I'm really navigating something like github.com/dashboard, even if you are really going into the certain repository or anything, let me select it. Okay, so even you are really in a certain URL like this, my-node-app, or even if you are really accessing a certain file, if there is an URL, so through that URL, you can able to just change the certain number or change the URL name as like another person's name, so that you can able to easily access their databases. I mean, especially the GitHub. Okay, that is what broken access control. One person already authenticated in a certain account, like you just imagine as /user/profile/123, but the same person, he can just play with the URL to access the other's information. That is what the broken access control. I hope you have got a clear idea. And second thing, which is a cryptographic failures. While talking about the cryptography failures, cryptography, I think you already know. Cryptography is nothing but an encoded data. So for an example, if you are typing hi, if you are doing a WhatsApp messages hi from one person to another, so that hi, which is not going to be sent as a real, as same as like same hi. Instead, it is going to be encoded in a different way and it is going to be sent. Even whatever the images, even while talking about cryptography, that is what the thing. So where you are hiding a certain information or encrypting a certain information and you are sending to it, or even steganography kind of thing is and all, where you can have image and you can write hi, this is secret. So that kind of message you can write, and that message can be hidden inside an image. So if you are using that image to send your friend can able to receive that image and your friend can decode that image. Okay, that is what steganography is. Okay, guys, I hope you all really clear. You are really learning something new. If you really like this, you just post like this on Janila chat. So that is what this kind of cryptography and steganography and all. So steganography is like you can write some certain text, and that text message which you can able to hide it inside the image, and whenever you are sending us an image, even anyone is opening your image, they can't able to get what is written in it. Instead, if they are using a same decoded the key which you have used to encode it, if they're using that, they will be getting a secret message which is hidden inside the image. Kind of lot of steganography. That is what these and all. So while talking about that, while talking about an example, storing passwords without hashing it. Guys, I hope you all remember it. I hope you all remember. If you really remember this, you just post remember in your comment. So while talking about the handling the credentials like email ID and password, even in our to-do list of application which we have created, we have worked on to hash the password. How many of you people really remember that? So hashing in the sense, even in the database, if you are really seeing the password, it is not like as like a raw data. It is going to be hashed and it is going to be saved. And do you know another very important thing, guys? Even that hash is also not safe. It'll be shocking, right? Yes, because we guys have did the same hashing. So whenever people are giving their username and password to save the password in the database, instead of saving it in the like a normal, same as like password is Sanjay password. So kind of thing. If you are really saving it, it is very, very hard. So same as like that is it is very, very easy to for the people who really having access to the database. They can see all the people's password and all. What if you really using the same password? If me, Sanjay is using one password and Champ is using another password, if both the people are going to use the same password, the hashing thing which is going to be somewhat similar. So that is all leads to a certain problem. And even Adobe's 2013 breach where encrypted password were easily decrypted due to weak encryption. So that is what cryptographic failures. Whenever you are really having a message, if there is any problem with the encryption or if it is a weak encryption, so hackers or penetrators can able to easily identify that encryption code. So they will be using that same code to decrypt the password to collect all the information of people have. That's what really happened in 2013 in Adobe. And third issue, which is injection. So injection is like injection of malicious code through user inputs. You just imagine whenever you're talking about user input, people are used to give their email ID or their password or any information. But while giving an information itself, you just imagine in the username box, instead of giving Sanjay D Champ, what if you have given the script into it? Okay, is it clear? What if you are injecting a script into it? And even while talking about the injections, there are a lot of injections out there. So here we're talking about the SQL injections where an attacker inputs drop table users to delete the database tables. If they really want to delete it, they can simply pass this query to delete the complete table users. And even SQL injection attacks on Sony Pictures in 2014, leading to data leaks. Is it clear? That is what the injection is. I hope you are clearly with me. Broke access control, which is like if the people are already authenticated with a certain URL, by changing a certain URL or its numbers and IDs, they can able to access the other people's information. That is what broken access control. Cryptographic failures, which is going to be really helpful, which is very important when you need to encrypting the passwords or messages. You should be very aware, because if it is like a very weak encryption, hackers can able to easily guess it, and they can able to simply use that to decrypt all the messages you have. Even it is a WhatsApp, even the WhatsApp is encrypted and decrypted, it can be easily hackable. Okay, that's what the second thing. And third thing, while talking about an injection, you just imagine if one application is using a database for updating the data in the database, like the to-do application which you are creating. So that kind of platform or that kind of application where you can just penetrate by sending some certain script, or even if it is a SQL injection where you can able to write the code like drop table user so that it is going to be completely deleted. Okay, that's what it really happened in Sony in 2014, where data leaks has occurred based on the database SQL injection. And fourth thing, which is insecure design. So while talking about the insecure design, whenever you are creating a website, if you are not aware about it, if you are just focusing only on the front end and back end, if you are not aware about the design bugs which it has, like by non-considering threat modeling in the application design phase, leading to overlooked vulnerabilities. That's what another very aware you should be there. So a poorly designed e-commerce site that doesn't validate user permission properly, allowing unauthorized user to access the admin function. Okay, even if it is a unauthorized user while logging into the e-commerce platform, they might be navigated through a different login credentials, and they might get an access for the admin portal. So it is also very important to consider while doing a designing aspects on the website. And fifth thing is security misconfiguration. While talking about security misconfiguration, improper configuration of security settings. Always, whenever you are really using some platforms, even the course which you have got is a WordPress course, and like creating a website using a WordPress, or creating e-commerce website using WordPress. So likewise, you might have used that kind of WordPress website, but on that WordPress website, even there is some certain settings called security settings. So you should be very aware about configuring those security settings, because if you are really leaving a default credentials enabled or not configuring the security headers, that's what that kind of or I mean, what to say, the net banking kind of blanking sectors will do. So instead of saving their login credentials when people are really logging into their account, if they suddenly close the tab, if you are opening it, it will be navigating the people into the previously open page. So that is all. It should not happen in this security misconfiguration. So that is what this fifth point is all about. Now we are really exploring only top 10, guys. Likewise, there are a lot of security issues is there. And the sixth thing is vulnerable and outdated components. So using components with a known vulnerability, which is like what is it? Even it is also interesting thing. What it is not interesting thing, it is actually a bad thing. So in our website itself, it really happened. Whenever you are using untrusted tools or untrusted plugins, which is given for free, guys, and I really wanted to add this tip to you right now. Whenever you are building a website for your client, or whenever you are really building a website for you or any tool which you are creating, so if anyone has been given for free, be aware. Okay, so even it is can be some mostly wanted plugin which you might require, but be aware of using those kind of plugins, because though they might steal some information from your content, or they might block your website. So likewise, there are a lot of things can happen. So vulnerable and outdated components. And even whenever you are installing a plugin or something for your website, you should be aware. If you are using some certain plugin, you just want to check out when it recently got updated. Okay, so because if you are using a very oldest version of plugin for the latest version of the website which you are creating, it is also not compatible, so that penetrators can able to easily penetrate in. So the point number one, whatever the plugins or any additional libraries or function which you're going to use it there, be aware. And don't look for free all the time. Whenever you are looking for the free for all the time, some problem or some bugs will be there, or some danger will be there. Okay, because if you are really looking for some feature, and if anyone is coming with that, and I can give it for free, so be aware, so that they might have some script which is written in that plugins, that which is not be easily visible, so that will corrupt us. So that is kind of another sixth point which is all about. And seventh point, which is like identification and authentication failures. So while talking about identification and authentication failures, flaws in authentication mechanism. So using weak passwords or not implementing multi-factor authentication. Multi-factor authentication, you might run, right? Like even though you have given the password, it is going to be start asking some password or OTPs or something. Even Twitter's 2020 breach, where attackers bypassed authentication to access the high-profile account. Is it really weird? Yes, of course. Because whenever, and also while talking about the password, I really wanted to tell all you people, I really know you all have an account on a lot of places. You have accounts on Facebook or Twitter or LinkedIn or Instagram or in AWS or in a Google Drive, on the Gmail, and in a lot of places. I think you already have an account. So please don't use the same password for every tools, because I really know that every people will be very they'll be feeling difficulty to remember all those problems, but there is no ways, guys. Please go and do it, because don't use one password. They will used to have their own default password. So whenever some account is asking username, they will give the same username. So even I did sometimes those things. So whenever a certain website or certain platform is asking a username, people will be giving a same username. And whenever it is asking for the password, they will be giving a same password. You just imagine, what if in any one place there is some loophole where people can able to see your password, they have hacked it, they can able to hack all your networks. So that's why this is one of the tip. Whenever you are really having the social medias and other platforms, don't use the same email ID and same password, same credentials for the account. Please use the different credentials for the account, and even have a best practice to change the password every 1 month or 2 months. So it's a very important. That's what this authentication failures. So when people are really giving some wrong password, which it can be easily guessed it, and even some of the higher clouds, they won't allow you to give your name inside the password. For an example, if my username is sanjay@patekmail.com or something, it won't allow me to give Sanjay name in the password. So likewise, your authentication process should be somewhat good. And eighth point, which is like software and data integrity failures. So while talking about software and data integrity failures, trusting software updates critical data or CI/CD pipelines without verifying integrity. I hope you have already discussed about the CI/CD. CI is like continuous integration and continuous deploying. What if CI/CD pipeline is already running, but there is some problem with some code which you have written, or some penetration really happened in the network which you have, so it is going to really affect it, right? So allowing unverified software updates to be applied. So even if you are getting any update from the software, please don't do that. Just go and refer it, and if whether it is good or not, then you just do it. So that's why it really happened in the iPhones and all, right? So if there is any issue, so that's why they used to reveal the beta version previously, and whenever people are really using those kind of beta versions, and they will find out all the bugs which is available, so they'll be intimating it, and finally they will launch it to the public for the real version. So same as like whenever you are creating this type of tool as well, you need to be very, very aware about the CI/CD pipelines and the software updates, because you should not approve the certain software update requirement simply it really asks. So that is what the eighth point. And ninth point is security logging and monitoring failures. So guys, logging is the very important thing should be there, because logging is like certain file. Even nowadays, logging hacking is also happening, but logging is whenever logging, okay, it is not login, it is logging. So whenever some certain person really logging into the certain account by giving their username or password, so it should be recorded. And when people are really doing 5 attempts, it should be recorded. So when the people are really opening a log files, they can able to easily identify how many people have tried, who tried, and from which IP address it tried, everything which is going to be recorded as a logs. So that is why security logging and monitoring failures, this kind of issue might be happen, because even Target's 2013 data breach went undetected for weeks due to inadequate monitoring. Because suddenly if one hack has been happened, you don't have any logs to see where the problem occurred, so that you can't able to observe. That's why this 9th point is also important. And while talking about the 10th point, server side request forgery. So while talking about server side request forgery, so you just see the example: an attacker tricks the server into making a request to an internal system by manipulating a URL parameter. Same as like the previous thing which we guys have discussed, like URL parameters adjusting and all. So this is going to be really, really helpful to do that. So an attacker tricks the server into making a request to do an internal system by manipulating a URL parameter. Okay. So capital 1 breach where SSRF was used to access sensitive data stored in AWS. Okay. So you just imagine if authenticated user are there, so they can able to manipulate with the URL to access the certain admin portal of the certain page, and they can able to delete it if they really want it. So this is what is all about the 10 points on security issues. Especially this OWASP top 10 security issues. I hope you really got it. Okay, the first one is broken access control and cryptographic feature failures and injections and insecure design and security misconfiguration and vulnerable and outdated components. And here we have identification and authentication failures and software and data integrity failures and security logging and monitoring failures and server side request forgery. So likewise, it is going to have lot of issues. So that's why I haven't specifically focused on any one thing and working on that. There are tons and tons of issues and security issues which is all there. But out of it, on the OAPS list, These are all the top 10 security issues which is really happening. And on that aspect, the same thing, what are all the ways which it can able to be done by controlling? Okay, how can we control this? So that's what this same OWASP top 10 proactive controls. Okay, even what you can do is you can go to the Google and you can type OWASP top 10 proactive controls. You can just search for the proactive controls and you can just open it. And you can see all the proactive controls, like it can be like security requirements or leveraging security frameworks and libraries and secure databases access. Likewise, it's given the top 10 list. So that is what I have. It is going to be very, very easy to cover up, guys. Just see. Okay, first of all, which is like define security requirements. So while talking about security requirements, you need to define the policies for data encryption, user authentication, and secure communication. So creating a checklist of security requirements for a new e-commerce website, including secure payment processing and user data processing. Because there is a two things, like so payment processing also need to be there. Same as like users data should be protected. So there should be some checklist for the security requirements so that it was going to keep on checking whether it has been properly saved in the database or not, or whether it leaked some certain information, or even when people are doing a payment processing, which is all should be very safer. That's what the first point, which is security, define security requirements. And second thing, leverage security frameworks and libraries. Guys, whenever you are talking about this security frameworks and library, use existing security libraries and framework instead of creating your own. So some genius will be there. So there they will be used to create their own security servers and those things, but they might not aware about one or two security services. So that's why instead of that, if you are really using pre-built or previously available frameworks or frameworks or library, which is going to be very, very easy to restrict the problem which you might face whenever you are creating on your own. So using frameworks like Spring Security for Java application or Django Security features for Python, so that you can able to avoid those kind of problems. And using zero-auth libraries, for secure authentication instead of writing custom authentication code. So instead of writing your own code on authenticating a certain website, so what if we are using a pre-built framework which is all defaultly available? So with the help of that, you can able to do it easily. And then here we have secure database access. Of course, so implement secure practices when accessing the database. As we have already discussed, whenever we are really working on the database, there people used to do a SQL injection. So already we guys have discussed about the SQL injection, right? So if you are really having a certain query, if any one query which has been crossed into that, example like drop of schema or something, the whole schema is going to be deleted. So that's why we should be aware configuring database connection pools with a restricted access to avoid unauthorized access, and encode and escape data. Properly encode the data to prevent injection attacks. Use HTML encoding to prevent XSS attacks in web application. Using libraries like OWASP Java encoder to encode output in a Java application. So up to now, we guys have discussed about only how to secure the database access and security frameworks and libraries and all. But now it's time to encode, okay, to see how it has been encoded. So to encode it, you'll be using, instead of doing it by yourself, by using some certain keywords and those things, what if you are using with the help of OWASP Java encoder to encode the output in the Java web application? So same as like based on the different platforms or different coding programming languages which you are using, you need to use specific kind of library to encode the data properly, and then validate all inputs. So ensure all inputs are validated for the type, length, format, and range. You just imagine if it is asking type the message, like type your message, or if it is like what you really want in the text boxes. So you should, as a developer, you should evaluate those data, and you just want to make sure whether there is any script tag. Okay, if it is a script tag, it should not allow the people to feed any scripts into the text boxes to enter their messages. So likewise, people will be doing, guys, so we should be aware. So validate user inputs. So even we are asking the username and user email ID, but instead of giving a user email ID, if the user are trying to pass some certain script, You should not allow the people to do that. So that's what the validation we need to do. And using regex to validate the email address and phone numbers in the contact form. I think we guys have did the same in our to-do list application. So I hope you all remember. And then here we used to have implement digital identity. So implement robust authentication and identity management, use multi-factor authentication and session management techniques. Of course, it can be like authenticating of a certain thing based on any multi-factor authentication. So, and implementing OAuth 2.0 for secured third-party authentication in a web application. So even if you are creating any web application, so that digital identity nowadays normally will be using a fingerprint scanner on SBI, I mean YONO net banking, which is available. So likewise, adding some advanced and digital, additional digital identity, so that hacking is somewhat difficult for the people. And then enforce access control. So implement strict access control mechanism, role-based access control, to ensure users only have access to what they need. Yes, it's a very, very important thing. You just imagine me and you guys are also all going to build one application together. Whenever we are building that application together, I'll be working in the front end. You'll be working, some person will be working on the database. Some people will be working on the API. Some people will be working on the database. So on the time, you should not give the whole complete access for all the 5 people. Instead, what I can access it, only that I need to access. I should not access everything. So that kind of limitation which you need to strictly follow to avoid the people are deleting others' works, or the people are really modifying others' works. An admin dashboard where only user with the admin role can access the certain feature, of course. So that's why people used to create the different dashboards. One is admin dashboard, another one is a user dashboard. So in admin dashboard, they will get a specific access only for the admin. Okay, even in our the generative AI project which we have created in one inner circle call. I don't know how many of you people have really attended it. So in that video, in that session, we guys have did the same. So where whenever you are really wanted to create that generative AI based web application to give a customer support, in the one hand, we guys have done for the users login, users page. Another one is for admin page. So admin page can able to evaluate the answer and they can able to retrain it again, or they can able to give the proper phrase for the proper output. But here, that's what the thing. So you need to be learning to maintaining the admin role and user known individually, so that it's going to be amazing. And protect data everywhere. Protect data in the transit and at rest using encryption. Using TLS for secure data transmission and AIS for encrypting stored data. So there is a 2-part. One part is whenever you are typing certain information, that information which is going to be transmitted and it is going to be saved. So while transmitting also, it should do some encryption, or that data should not be easily grabbed in the way of transmission. And second thing, once it is being transmitted, it should be saved, right? While doing a saving also, it is going to do some technique to encrypt the data. So encrypting customer data stored in a database and ensuring it is transmitted over HTTPS. I hope you already, you might have watched the errors like HTTP errors. Okay, how many of people really notice this error? Because whenever you are really seeing this HTTP error, unsecured error, if you can just see it in images, you can see the connection is not private. Why? Because whenever you are really seeing this kind of error, like connection is not private, they used to work only on the HTTP. Because if it is pandexsolutions.net, if you are clicking here, you can see this option, connection is secure. Okay, this is what the message you need to see whenever you are really having a website. Instead of HTTP, instead of HTTPS, if there is only HTTP, the transmission where the data are not encrypted. So even if you are really working for a client, okay, you are working for a certain client who you are building a project for them, or you are building a website for them, you already asked them to purchase the domain, you have already asked them to purchase the hosting. But even though they have purchased those things, they want to get another very important certification called SSL certificate. So SSL certificate for their website will make the website to be as like HTTPS. If they are not got the SSL certificate, the website will be HTTP, which is going to show unsecured. If it is unsecured, people can able to easily penetrate in, and which is very difficult to difficult to identify who is tracking it. And they will be easily going in, and they will be easily picking out the package which is all in the transmission. So that's what protect data everywhere. It is not even on a transmission, and also for storing as well. And implementing security logic and monitoring. So log security relevant events and monitor them, as I've already told you. So you need to create a logs for authentication attempts. If anyone is doing 3 times trial for authenticate a certain account, and give a timer to authenticate again, or data access or other critical events, all the things which is going to be managed by this implement security logging and monitoring. So that with the help of the log, you can able to easily identify how many people have retraded, and how many person are really doing it again and again and again and again. Because I think you might really know, whenever you are really working on the Facebook or Instagram kind of social media, if you're giving a wrong password for a lot of times, it will be temporarily, it will be banned or something. So likewise, you should be very aware about it. So that kind of creation, like banning a people for 1 hour or 24 hours, so if their activities is not good. And then finally, we'll be having handle all errors and exceptions. So use generic error messages for users while logging in, detailed error information for the developers. So gracefully handle and log errors and exception without exposing sensitive information, of course, like catching and logging expectation in a web application to prevent stack traces from being displayed to the user. So whenever you are really working on that kind of authentication process, so which is gonna be really very important to handle the catching as in a proper way. Because what if your data, if you are really logged into a certain website which is going to be saved in the cache or something, what if they have any one of the person who have taken the same memory with the cache and those things, and they are going to execute in a different system by passing the argument of using their system's IP address is a current IP address, so it will work well. So that's why you need to handle these problem as well. Okay, and in this time, I really wanted to show you some things. Okay, some of the comparison, because you can use a lot of tools to solve this kind of problem and this kind of security issues. But right now, I want to show you 2 example. Okay, one example with 2 codes. You can see what I'm going to do is I'm just going to open my browser. Okay, I'm just going to open this website, online code compare. So once you have opened online code compare, first of all, it is asking original text. In the original text, if I'm giving this text, okay, this is normal vulnerable code. But as I've already told you, as a developer, you are gonna be responsible for writing the code effectively, which should be secured. So that's what the thing. So left side code is problem code, or normal code will work. The functionality part is good, but it is like vulnerable code. And the right hand side code is somewhat secured code. Can you see that? Okay, so all the rest of the code is same. So here we have used the MongoDB database, and in the my database, we are really passing the query. On the query, if you really wanted to pass it, you can see that db.collection of users dot find of username : username. So they have really taken it from this variable username directly in this way, dot to array of error result. Okay, result. This is what we have did. They have did in here. But here db collection of users dot find of username : and here we guys have passed this eq : username. So this is where it has been different from this to this. So, and also if you are really seeing this code, I think rest of the things are all same. So likewise, you need to consider each and everything whenever you are writing a code. So it can be a database side, it can be an API side, it can be a HTML side, it can be a JavaScript side. So you should be very aware about writing the code effectively, so that it will close all the loop which has been given for accessing the certain website from externally. So on that aspects, I really want to show you another thing: tools for issues. So guys, again, I'm telling you these tools, which are these issues, the security issues which I've listed, which is also only the top 10. Okay, same as like this one. This proactive control also just a top 10. But that's why I'm telling you. Other than that, we really wanted to be aware about other things, other errors, other security issues as well. So nonetheless, now we are going to see, I've given the document, you just go and refer it. I don't want to waste your time by just reading it. So whenever you are using a broken access control, you'll be using a tool such as like OAuth Juice Shop. So go and check that out, because it is like a minor modification in the code which will make that to be secured. Because the same as like here, you can see the outputs differences. In that differences, both the codes are same, but instead of using a direct users like this, we guys have passed is like a literals like this, so that it really becomes like a secured. So same as like broken access control can be done with can be solved with the help of OWASP JUSOP, and cryptographic failures can be solved with the help of bcrypt or argon2 libraries. I hope you all remember the bcrypt, guys. How many of you will really remember the bcrypt? If you remember that bcrypt, you just post remember in your chat. So to save the data in the database, we guys have hashed the password, right? So to hash the password, we guys have used this bcrypt. So same as like whatever password which you are using or those things, to hash it properly, like you can use the bcrypt or argon2 library. And to prevent from injection, so you need to use the tools such as like SQL map for testing parameterized queries. That's what we have did in even here. So this is what parameterized queries. In the query, db.collection of okay, wait a minute here. So db.collection of users dot find of username colon username. So instead of giving in this, we guys have used parameterized queries to solve or to overcome the SQL injection. And security misconfiguration. So identify and fix misconfiguration in a web server, OWASP Zap, and burp suit. So likewise, you can use these kind of tools to solve the security misconfiguration and vulnerable and outdated components. This definitely can be done with the help of updating a certain software or certain libraries or certain plugins which you are using. Especially you can do with the help of OWASP dependencies check. So with the help of this dependency check, it is going to be finding out any outdated thing which is all available or not. If there is any outdating thing, you need to update it and you need to proceed it further to use the latest version to avoid those kind of security risk on vulnerable and outdated components. And then we'll be having a defined security requirements. So while talking about the security requirements, it is like considering some certain checklist for a new project. Whenever you are building one new project, it is like considering a new checklist where it is going to keep on verifying one by one. That can be done with the help of this OWASP AASVS, Application Security Verification Standard. So it is going to make sure one by one check whether it is good or not. If it is not good, it is going to give you a warning. So based on that, you need to work on it to change it to make it better. And then leverage security frameworks and libraries. The tools such as like Spring Security Framework, which is going to be helpful for integrate Spring Security into a Java application. So this Spring Security Framework, which is going to be helpful for integrating into a Java application, so that it is going to be helpful for finding out any problem or there. As I've already told you, instead of you creating the security standard files, instead of you creating your own rules and regulations to maintain the security standards, if you are using existing frameworks, that will be good because they have already solved a lot of issues which is already available. So that's why we will be going for the frameworks and security tools. So and then secure databases, of course, whenever you are really implementing any web application database access, you will be doing parameterized, as same as like we guys have discussed yesterday, discussed on the past part of the session. So and then encode and escape data. So of course, whenever you are really giving some certain information, so you should be encoded properly before passing into the before transmitting the data or something, because the tools such as like OWASP Java encoder or HTML encoder for .NET, which is going to be helpful for encoding your data before transmitting it to the public. And validate all inputs. Whenever people are giving certain input in the certain form, it can be a form where it is asking email ID and password. So instead of giving an email ID, what if people are passing a certain parameter or in the terms of like script, so which is really not good for the site. So that kind of validating input also need to do. And implement digital identity. So while talking about digital identity, nowadays a lot of people are using other external third-party authenticator like Google Authenticator or Facebook Authenticator. Even if you really wanted to authenticate the Facebook or Instagram, there are some Facebook Authenticator which is the separate software which will be keep on resetting the password for every 30 seconds. Likewise, you can just use that kind of tool to implement the digital identity, or even implementing the fingerprint or face recognition kind of concepts. So that is what digital identity. And enforce access controls. While talking about an access control, where when people are really accessing a certain website or something, maintaining a proper user, like admin user individually, and normal user credentials individually, so that user simply by changing a certain name, they should not get an approval for the admin portal and all. And protect data everywhere, as we guys have already discussed. Encrypt sensitive data before storing it in the database. It might be a hashing. Even the hashing, I told you there is some problem, because if the password is same like Sanjay password 123, if that is the password, if another person is also giving the same password like Sanjay password 123, it is going to give you the same hashing moreover. So that's why you need to use another different technique to solve that kind of hashing problem as well. And implement security logging. Of course, as I've already told you, you need to start doing a logging. Even in our series also, we have did the logging, guys, in our the video testimonial tool, I think, video testimonial tool or another tool. Whenever we have developed, we have deployed the logging in, so that if you are getting any error, so you can just open the login log file which it already created, so that you can able to see all the detailed report. So who run that and what they have, what time. So likewise, it is going to have hold down the logs, error logs. So you will be knowing, like, if any person have tried 5 times or lot, so it is going to show that as an error log. That's what you need to consider. And handle all errors and exception. That's a very important thing. You just imagine, whenever you are really writing a code, if there is one error which is going to be happen, so that if there is any alternative solution on that place itself, while writing the code itself, you need to write the alternative code to check the alternatives. So if this error came, try this. If this error came, try that. Okay, so that is how you need to write the code. So once you have written that code, if it is really started executing, if there is some error it really happened there while trying something, if you have really written every exceptions clearly, which will be helping it to solve that issue in a very easy way. So that is what security logging and all, and handling an exceptions. So while writing the code itself, you'll be writing try except kind of thing. So it is going to try something, and if there is any problem on trying that, it is going to accept and it is going to show a certain error. And if you have any alternative solution, that solution you need to write is like a try again. So that try again with a different way, so that your code will be super optimized. If you are getting any error, you won't want to struggle a lot. Even when we have when we have created one web application for the generative AI masterclass, on the time when we have created one fully functioning web application, it given an error. So what we have done is we have written some try. We have first of all catched the error. If this error came, try this, and if this error came, try this. Else you just skip this or pass it. So likewise, you'll be returning it, so that you don't want to face some unnecessary errors in the front end. If you are really going for to create a real-time web application, you might face that kind of errors and all that can be easily solved out. Okay, so are you clear? So that is what the code which I've given. And don't think like, Sanjay, why we haven't gone very practical oriented, because this is really huge. Okay, and even today I've shown you one simple code. Okay, how we have parameterized the code, the SQL, to handle the database properly, to avoid the SQL injections and all. So that's why I really wanted you guys to go and explore. So you just go and type this OWASP top 10 errors, because globally registered by developers is the first step towards more secure coding. Okay, go and read a lot of documentation about secure coding. So making of OWASP top 10, OWASP top 2021, and look out that all the repositories which is available, just go and check that out. Okay, how it really different from anything. So top 10. So this is what the top 10 security risk which it has. So likewise, go and read it, and based on the problem you might face, so you need to change it. For an example, today I've shown you that, I told you that hashing, even whenever you are really saving the username and password as same as it is when the people have entered in the database, it is those people who have all the access of the database, they can able to easily access what is the problem in the data. What is the password they have entered. But what if you have hashed it? hashed it, that's a one good idea, so that even though people have access to the database, they can't able to access the password what they have entered. So that is okay. But also there is an other alternative problem. What is the problem is, when people are really using the same password, like password 123, and another person is also using the same password 123, it might give the same hashed data. So there are a lot of technique which is out there where they can use those techniques to decode it properly. They can able to easily find out the password. Okay, even though it is hashed, I'm talking about. So that's why this kind of lot of techniques out there. So go and read that OWASP documentation. So that's going to be really, really helpful for you. And even I will be scheduling some tasks, simple tasks. Try to do it. It's very easy. Okay, with the existing project or any new one, I'll be scheduling a task. Go and do it. So I hope you really enjoyed the session. If you really enjoyed this specific session, you just post enjoyed in your comment. So thank you so much once again. It's me, Sanjay, signing off. Until then, bye. We'll see you on the next video.